Imagine if the most important archaeological discovery wasn't about gold or ancient cities, but about proving that human compassion dates back further than civilization itself. A breakthrough hidden in ancient bones has uncovered something remarkable. For years, we thought of our prehistoric ancestors as tough survivors, living by the idea that only the strongest made it. But what if we've been overlooking a key part of their humanity? Recent advances in DNA analysis have shown something extraordinary. People with Down syndrome were part of early human communities, not as outcasts, but as valued members. Researchers analyzed DNA from nearly 10,000 ancient human remains, and for the first time, they were able to detect Down syndrome in prehistoric bones. This wasn't possible before using traditional bone analysis, which could only give guesses. But now, ancient DNA can reveal the genetic sign of Down syndrome, an extra copy of chromosome 21, leading to distinct traits and developmental differences that would have needed ongoing care. One of the most fascinating discoveries comes from a Neanderthal child named Tina. Her remains, found in a cave in Spain, showed signs of Down syndrome, including hearing loss and balance issues. Despite these challenges, Tina lived to at least 6 years old in the harsh world of Neanderthal hunter-gatherers, where groups constantly move in search of food. Her condition would have made it difficult for her to hear approaching danger or follow the group's movements. She likely struggled with dizziness, making walking treacherous. Tina would have needed continuous care from her community. Researchers believe that it wasn't just her parents who helped, but the entire group. Others would help with daily tasks and ensure Tina didn't get lost during migrations. This suggests that our Neanderthal relatives practiced true altruism, providing strong evidence for the social nature of early humans. But this wasn't just a Neanderthal story. The use of ancient DNA has provided more clarity in studying our own species. In Ireland, for example, a 6-month-old boy from 5,500 years ago was found to have Down syndrome, confirmed through his DNA. A study involving nearly 10,000 ancient individuals published in 2024 uncovered 6 cases of Down syndrome, showing that this condition existed for thousands of years across Europe. In one notable discovery, on a Greek island dating back to 3,300 years ago, researchers found a young girl with Down syndrome. She was buried with a necklace of 93 beads, suggesting that her community held her in high regard. Another important find in Iron Age Spain revealed multiple infants with chromosome conditions, further confirming that people with Down syndrome were treated with care and respect long before modern society. These findings reveal a powerful new side to early human life, a side where compassion, community support, and care for the vulnerable were not just possible but integral to survival. In the region of Navarra, researchers discovered something remarkable about how ancient communities treated children with Down syndrome. These children were buried in unique ways, not in the usual cemeteries, but within homes or important buildings. This was highly unusual because at the time, cremation was a standard burial practice. Yet, these children were clearly chosen for special treatment. Some burials even included bronze rings and Mediterranean seashells, suggesting that these children were seen as having particular significance to their communities. Research from the University of Barcelona revealed that, while most people were cremated, these children were deliberately selected for a special burial, setting them apart from others. This pattern wasn't isolated. Across different cultures and time periods, people with Down syndrome consistently received thoughtful, special treatment. This challenges previous assumptions that prehistoric societies simply discarded the vulnerable. In fact, it shows that they put effort, resources, and care into supporting those in need, which suggests a deep, shared understanding of human value across cultures. These discoveries also align with growing evidence that ancient people supported others with a range of conditions, such as dwarfism, hydrocephalus, and spina bifida. For instance, a person with severe dwarfism in Italy, who lived around 11,000 years ago, survived into young adulthood, 17 to 20 years old, thanks to substantial group support. Similarly, a child with hydrocephalus in Israel, from about 95,000 years ago, lived about 3 years old with ongoing care from both family and community. However, the cases of Down syndrome, often involving infants or very young children, highlight another level of care. These individuals would have needed intensive, continuous support from birth, unlike adults who might have contributed to the group or been expected to help in the future. This raises fascinating questions for researchers to explore, like why there's a higher concentration of such cases in Iron Age Spain, and what it says about prehistoric life and care for the disabled. While current DNA evidence mostly shows cases of infant or perinatal deaths, there may be longer-lived cases still hidden in remains that haven't yet been examined with advanced techniques. Another intriguing question is how daily life in these prehistoric communities managed to include individuals with significant disabilities. What specific social adaptations allowed people to support their most vulnerable members? As new techniques emerge and more archaeological sites are studied, these questions will continue to shape our understanding of prehistoric care. These discoveries aren't just academic. They challenge how we view ourselves today. They prove that care for the vulnerable goes far beyond survival, deeply embedded in our evolutionary history, long before written records, organized religion, or formal ethical systems. In conclusion, these findings from Neanderthal, remains in Spain, to Bronze Age burials across Europe tell a powerful story. Our prehistoric ancestors valued those who were different and offered them care that wasn't just about biological necessity. Thanks to advances in ancient DNA analysis, we now know that compassion and inclusion are not recent human traits, but deep, ancient qualities that have always been a part of us. So the next time someone suggests that caring for the vulnerable is unnatural, remember Tina, the Neanderthal child who lived for at least 6 years in one of the harshest environments known in history. Her story is proof that love and compassion are as old as humanity itself. Perhaps the most significant discovery isn't that Down syndrome existed in prehistory, but that human kindness did. The discovery is about ancient care for individuals with disabilities, particularly those with Down syndrome, challenge much of what we have traditionally believed about prehistoric societies. For centuries, we assumed that early humans, Neanderthals included, were focused solely on survival, fighting for dominance and prioritizing the strongest members of their communities. We saw them as tough, independent, and often harsh. However, the evidence uncovered through ancient DNA analysis has painted an entirely different picture, one that reveals compassion, empathy, and inclusion were just as integral to early human life as survival itself. The findings from a Neanderthal child Tina and from the early burial practices in places like Iron Age Spain and Greece show that ancient communities did not only tolerate vulnerability, they embraced and cared for it. These children were buried with special care, in locations of significance, adorned with items like beads and shells, clearly regarded as important members of their societies. Far from being abandoned or discarded, individuals with Down syndrome were provided with dedicated care by not just their immediate families, but by the whole community. These acts of care weren't simple duties. They reflected a profound commitment to inclusivity and compassion that defies the traditional survival of the fittest narrative. Such findings challenge our assumptions about ancient humans, and even modern-day ideas about the value of individuals with disabilities. For so long, the general assumption has been that only those who could contribute directly to survival, through hunting, gathering, or producing, were seen as valuable. Yet, these discoveries reveal a more complex and nuanced understanding of community, where care for the most vulnerable wasn't seen as a burden, but as a communal responsibility. This insight forces us to reevaluate our own treatment of those who need additional care today, prompting us to question whether we could learn from our ancestors' example. The broader implications of these findings extend beyond the study of human evolution. They invite us to consider the roots of kindness and empathy, traits that are often seen as modern human values but have deep evolutionary origins. Perhaps, as we continue to explore these ancient discoveries, we will uncover not just the bones and artifacts of our ancestors, but the very soul of humanity, the innate drive to protect, care for, and value one another, especially in times of difficulty. These ancient revelations don't just deepen our understanding of our distant past. They have the potential to transform how we view our present and future. If our ancestors could come together to support one another, to invest in the well-being of individuals who could not help themselves, maybe we can do the same in our communities today. In a world that often prioritizes efficiency and competition, the story of Tina and others like her is a reminder that true strength lies not just in survival, but in our ability to care for those who need us the most. Ultimately, the most significant discovery of all is that humanity's capacity for love, empathy, and kindness is not a recent development, but a fundamental part of who we are, stretching back thousands of years. And as we continue to explore our ancient past, we are reminded that compassion is not only part of our history, it is a key to our shared future.